So it's not time, it's repetitions. It's how many times do you choose raw? How many times do you choose vegan? That's what creates it. Release the need to be perfect. When you are stuck in this need to be absolutely 100% pure and perfect, that causes tons of unnecessary stress on you, especially if like every single person has a different microbiome. And I always bring it back to that because it's like such an important part that I feel like a lot of people are missing, right? Because it's new science, right? So it's new science, so people are going to be like, you know, with it. But it's like, let's go back to that forgotten organ, right? Every single microbiome is different. And some people can jump right into the raw diet and just do totally fine because their gut is decent, right? And can handle the amount of fiber and variety. But other people have weaker microbiomes and they need to go really slow. They need to start with what works and then slowly add like little amounts of new things in. Like if broccoli irritates, add that slower, right? Like, but release the need to be absolutely perfect according to somebody on the internet or whoever you've seen, right? Like, it's like, just work with your body, not against it. Like, don't force it into something that doesn't feel comfortable or pressuring yourself to be some kind of like ideal, pure and perfect thing. That makes it stressful and that makes it hard to stick to because you're like forcing yourself into this. Like, go slow, right? Like, we don't go to the gym and then immediately start lifting 80-pound weights, right? Like, it's just, you don't do that, right? You start slow. You start with the 5s. And some people have to start with the 3s, right? Like, you got to go slow, work with your muscles, work with your microbiome. And it, like you said, it's challenging your body to grow in some way, in all ways. Like, we challenge our brains by reading books and studying stuff. We challenge our lungs by doing breath work. We challenge our heart by doing, you know, walking or running or whatever. We train our cardiovascular system. We challenge our bones by doing like weight-bearing exercise, right? We can challenge our gut as well. Like, we can challenge our gut by giving it little bits at a time so it grows. And we can just become like better, but without jumping in and like expecting miracles and everything right off the bat. That can be really stressful. And I know a lot of people do that. They'll go so far in that it's too far. It's like an elastic band. Like, they go so far in that they just snap back because it's too much too soon and they can't do it. But to make it more enjoyable, go with your body's pace. Like, listen more to your body instead of the internet. Like, use the internet as a source of inspiration for sure, but like, come back to who you are and where you are in your life, because we're all at different phases. I love this one quote. I think it was Jim Rohn, but I don't know for sure. But it is, you don't have to do everything, but don't do nothing. Right? Like, that's you great. Don't have to do everything all at once, all off the bat, right? Like, people come in, they're like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to drink my lemon water. I'm going to have a workout. I'm going to do my breath work. I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to connect with friends. I'm going to make my food, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's like way too much all at once, right? It's like, start slow. Like, maybe start with a smoothie for breakfast. Like, let's get that down first, right? Start with whole food, plant-based. I mean, like, let's master the vegan lifestyle. And then slowly over time, add more raw, right? Until you get to a point where you're like, this is great. This is awesome. Try all raw. Try the things and see how you're feeling, and then just like move from there. But like, master small things first. And then I love the book. Have you read Atomic Habits?
No, that sounds
dude, that book is just so good. Like, Nate and I were listening to it while we went to a concert in Phoenix. And we listened to it the whole drive, and we're like, oh my God, like, it's one of those books that you can listen to like over and over and over again because there's so much gold in there. Highly recommend it. Atomic Habits. Cool. Anyways, in Atomic Habits, he talks about habit stacking. So it's like, when you have a habit that you currently do every single day, it's like clockwork. You can stack a new habit onto that. So like, for example, say every single morning you brush your teeth. It's a given. It's like totally automatic. You don't even think about it. Put like your workout, put your toothbrush on your workout clothes.
Yeah.
So it's like you're forcing yourself to be like, oh yeah, I'm working out today, right? So it's like training you to attach like a new habit onto an old habit. And then you can habit stack. And then once you do that, you can be like, put the workout clothes with your toothbrush on your meditation pillow. So it's like, well, you gotta meditate while, you know, like whatever, right? So you can habit stack and build it on there. And that can help to create the new you, because we don't change unless we change. So along with doing one thing at a time is to take it one day at a time. So focus only one day. Like, don't worry about being a raw vegan for 5 years or 1 month or 30, you know, like do this challenge or whatever. Like, just focus on today. Today is the only day that matters. But what we do today determines our future todays. Right. So we have to like zoom it, like instead of being so far zoomed out, zoom into just today, because today is really the only day. Write down what you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Plan out what you want to do. Who do you want to become? If you want to become a person who eats raw food, then you have to plan out the food that you're going to eat, and you practice being a raw foodie, right? So you, like, it's just practice. And another thing on the perfectionism topic is there's a reason why it's called a yoga practice and not a yoga perfect. Because you never get, there's no level of perfection. Like, you're constantly, even when you're at like a perfect level, you're still learning new things about your body. You're still like, you're maintaining, or you're like exploring new movement. You're adding different things. Like, there's never a level of perfection that you receive, right? It's all a practice. It's a daily practice, daily things that you do to become the person that you really want to be. In order to be an athlete, like, you have to think about what athletes do. They train. So it's like, if you want to be an athlete, then you have to train. So what are you going to do? You're going to train. So it's like just boiling it down to the one day and focusing one day at a time. That way you're more present as well. You're more present in today, because that's the only one that counts.
It really, again, comes down to the mindset.
Yep. And that's the practice. That's the, what people call the transition period, right? Like, transition is a tricky word because people use it to continue justifying what they were doing before. They're like, well, I'm in transition, so I'm still going to put the cheese on my salad. It's like, well, if you're transitioning to become a vegan, we'll just use that as an example. You decide, you're like, I'm going to transition to vegan. So what does a vegan do? This is your transition phase. It's practice. Like, you're practicing how a vegan would choose, and your transition period is over when it's natural habit. You just go into the restaurant and you order the salad without cheese, without thinking. Like, it's just automatic. That's when you know your transition period's over. But the transition period is that uncomfortable state where you have to consciously be aware of your new habits that you're trying to create. Right? And you're consciously aware, like when you go to the restaurant, you have to make the choice that a vegan would choose. Like, what would a vegan choose? And that's the challenge. And people don't embrace it as much as they maybe should when they're moving over to any new habit or new diet or lifestyle. They don't realize that that is the transition. The transition is the actual practice of making the choices that a raw vegan would make, that a vegan would make, that an athlete would make, that a business owner would make. Like, you have to actually make those choices in order for the new lifestyle to become your new reality. Like, for me, and I'm assuming for you too, because it's been so long, it's like so automatic. You're like, I don't even think about it anymore, because that's our new habit. We've created new grooves in our like neural pathways where it's like, this is just what you default to. And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, when do the cravings go away? That's like, well, cravings don't ever really technically go away, because your neural pathways never disappear. They don't get used, but they still exist, and they always will. And a craving is really just our frame of reference that we've had from the past, what we habitually always ate. So like, if you're hungry, we crave, and we're always going to crave what's easy, what's habitual, what's convenient, what our friends are eating. Like, we're going to crave that stuff, and we already know it. But when we start to do these like daily practices, it shifts, and you start to crave the things that you're habitually doing, right? Like, I would crave like this. Nate made this amazing smoothie for me this morning. It's like a cacao barley grass juice, banana date deliciousness. It's so good. But it's
Wow.
like, that's what, like, you think about that. Like, I crave like dragon fruit in the morning, or like my mangoes and nectarines are so good right now. It's like we want those foods because that's our new habit. That's our new neural pathway that we've created. And it just becomes default. So it really isn't like some magical day all your cravings go away, right? Like, you have to eat food so that you don't have cravings. But with time, everyone's going to be different. It depends on repetition. We were listening to Jim Rohn also like the other day, and he was saying, it's when people ask how long does it take to make a new habit, it's not how long it takes, it's how many repetitions that create the new habit. And I loved that, because like somebody could be doing a new habit once a week for 2 or 3 months and be like, I still don't, I'm not in the habit or whatever. But the other person who did it almost every single day is going to be way more into the habit, but they did it for the same amount of time. So it's not time, it's repetitions. It's how many times do you choose raw? How many times do you choose vegan? How many times do you choose to go for your workout? That's what creates it.